CP.
Are you serious? He's gone. 40, 30, Portis all the way. Touchdown Redskins, 64 yards.
26 minutes.
He's pretty sharp. You know, he'll coach you up on the Miami guys and everything else. He's kind of fun to be around. Got an opinion too.
You know, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to go out and be myself and say the things that I say. And, you know, for the outside world, they can deal with it how they deal with it.
26 minutes with Clinton Portis. CP. Teach him something.
I can teach you that this is episode 14 of 26 minutes. We've lasted 14 entire weeks without causing any trouble, without breaking anything on the set. So Monica McNutt, Jake Crunch Rifles.
On all the wood.
Yeah, I mean, good job, ladies and gents.
Good job, CP. You're such
Welcome
a good captain.
to 26 minutes.
It's great to be here.
Thank you and welcome.
Hey, listen. So we're gonna get right into it. We're coming off of Thanksgiving. I forgot to tell you all. We've been having all this pregame conversation. I forgot to tell you all about this gruesome injury that happened to me in the Turkey Bowl. So,
Oh no.
for the Thanksgiving Bowl, a bunch of guys from the gym got together and had a flag football game. Hey, I'm going to play. All right, fresh out. It was freezing Thanksgiving morning. I decided to go out and play football. Oh, what a bad decision. All week, I've been limping around, and my back has been killing me. I dropped a 60-yard touchdown. I dropped it, completely dropped it. I had beat everyone. And then for some reason, I came to the realization that my mind moves way faster than my body. So somehow I forgot that I was too old to be attempting to make this move. So therefore, I got caught in a move. It was sweet. It was a sweet move, but it's cost me an entire week of mobility. Like, my back was killing me. My knee is still swole. I'm still full from Thanksgiving. I mean, we got a lot to talk about.
How much flack did you get from dropping that pass?
Oh, it's already on YouTube.
Did you win?
Really?
They put it up. Yeah, we
What's
won.
the name of the video?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Clinton Portis drops bomb in Thanksgiving Bowl. Like, they put it up probably 15 minutes after we walked off the field.
That is hilarious. And I know I said on this podcast that I was coming, but my Thanksgiving fitness story, I had a full cycle class. All 36 bikes were filled, so I couldn't come play football. But I'm glad I didn't.
Congrats.
I played some pickup basketball at the hotel
There you
Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning. Wes Phillips, tight ends coach Wes Phillips, he can play.
go. Okay.
It's pretty good.
That's what I learned.
It's pretty good.
But we all clearly attacked Thanksgiving the proper way. Fitness first, and then food.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
My fitness didn't last long, so I don't want to say that's fitness. But who do need to be in shape, Monday night we got a huge game coming up, Skins versus Eagles in Philadelphia, primetime football, a stage that we're not performing so well on. How do you all see this playing out?
Last time we won on Monday Night Football was Colt McCoy in Dallas.
Oh, wow,
which
yeah.
And yes, so that is not great. 4 years without winning on Monday Night Football. And I don't know how many games. They probably played at least 7 or 8 games in that stretch on Monday night.
So does this change Monday night?
Yes.
Why?
I'm optimistic, yeah.
I'm gonna be, optimistic's a good word. I think unlike the last Monday night game of this season, the Eagles are not the New Orleans Saints. And I think that helps. And I also think, again, we've talked about this at different points on the podcast, it's a division game. And so for whatever reason, division rivalries, like, you get it, you step it up. And also down the stretch, I think if this team is really going to be legit, like, you got to get games where you can get them. I mean, it's go time now.
Well, and also, I think, first of all, the defense is, again, kind of, I think they licked their wounds this weekend, but I think they're very annoyed at the fact that Amari Cooper did what he did against them. The secondary has a lot of adversity that they're going to try to make up for. So I think usually the Redskins defense plays very well coming off a very bad performance. That's just kind of been the case. We saw it in that Saints game too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what gives me hope about this is DJ Swearinger had interesting comments this week where he kind of called out his teammates and addressed his teammates about focus and lack of responsibility. And I really think they always respond well to that. You know, I think for this week, 1 week, you got to take this 1 week at a time. I think for this week, the focus level should be up. You know, I think it will be totally different because you had a 2-game lead in the NFC East. You had a 2-game lead. You really controlled your own destiny, and now you're tied. And you have a tough schedule because you played the Eagles twice and you still got the Giants, whereas the Cowboys only have 2 games left in the division. So this is going to be huge. I think you could split and still possibly win, but you need every win. You don't have any room for error. So I think going on the road to a hostile environment in Philly the Eagles are coming off a big comeback against the Giants where the Giants had them and decided they didn't want to play Saquon Barkley in the second half, and they gave that game up. So when you look at that situation, I think this is a game that we could possibly win, but it's going to take focus. It's not going to be easy. This is going to be one of those you have to go run the ball, you're going to have to come up with big play, and you're going to have to gain tackle. So this is a winnable game if you have all 3 of those things work out.
So I feel like those things could work out, though. I don't feel like it's that much of a stretch. And I think when we have conversations about this team and what they can do in the next game, it's tough to let go of what has been the case typically. But I think through the course of this podcast, we heard Ryan Kerrigan talk about the intensity that Jonathan Allen brings. And, we've seen this defense take a lot of pride in being a force to be reckoned with. So I think if this is, there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people in this organization in terms of this year being different. I'm feeling good about this.
You got a whole week for Colt McCoy
you
to
got
get
extra,
adjusted.
a little extra Thursday to
He went into
Monday?
that Dallas game. He played, all things considered, having no practices. He played and not really playing as a starter for 4 years. He played pretty well. So when you factor in the fact that he's got a whole week now, more than a week, to prepare for the Eagles, and then also to really get on par with all these wide receivers, and just you felt like some of those throws. There was just timing, things were off. You didn't really have the trust yet. I think this week will definitely be helpful, and it's a tough division game, but he's kind of played up in these situations before. I think Dallas was a little bit overwhelming just because it's his first time, but he's got that under his belt. I think he'll be a little bit better.
Speaking of different, the Skins signed Reuben Foster this week. Definitely a different move for this organization. We'll have more on that in the coming weeks as things play out. But the Skins did go out and attempt to upgrade. Now, if Reuben Foster actually get to touch the field is yet to be seen. Like I said, we'll have more of that in the upcoming weeks. But this week, huge week for a lot of Redskins fans. A date that will never be forgotten. 11/27, November the 27th, we lost a great player, great friend, great everything in Sean T. And to see all the tributes, to see all of the fans and everyone else that he's affected just throughout the league. You heard other players speaking of what he meant to their game. You've seen all the tributes. You've seen the Redskins. 11 years removed to still have this Sean Taylor guidance flying over. What are some of you guys and gals memories of Sean T?
I just remember a guy that played with so much passion and heart. But then actually, after he passed, and my dad still holds a grudge against Mike Wilbon today, he remembered the article that Wilbon put in the Post, the commentary, that in some ways sort of blamed Sean to a degree. And my dad has never been a Wilbon fan because of that. And I don't remember reading the article at the time, but I remember years later talking about it. And I read the article and I was like, oh wow. But I think when you have a guy who just does life with so much energy and passion, everybody is not always going to be everybody's cup of tea. But to see the way that we're still remembering this young man years later and honoring his legacy, you have to know that he was a positive impact on so many more people's lives.
Well, I take it for me, that article that you're discussing, I remember being so angry with Wilbon. I've never spoken to Wilbon, but I remember that article and how he talked about Sean as if this is the path that you're going down. And today, you see how many people lives this affected. You see how people respond to Sean T. But me being with Sean, me having that relationship with Sean, to know that he was so misunderstood. And as a player, I could think back to when Sean first came and you had the incident of leaving the NFLPA event, and then you had the four-wheelers, and you had the DUI, and the DUI was like he had just left my house. It was on the exit leaving my house, Georgetown Pike, and he wasn't even drunk. It was just really him getting into it with a police officer, and basically, you know, Sean really was a no-nonsense guy. Like, you weren't about to carry him, and he's just like, man, you do what you got to do, you know, in which he got cleared of, but everyone forms an opinion to say, oh, this guy was drunk. He wasn't drunk, you know. It was late night. He was merging onto the highway. Police jumped behind him. You got a nice car on Georgetown Pike in McLean, Virginia. Hey, you know what? Let's see who this guy is with tinted windows. But so many of those situations that were blown out of proportion where he was actually not the one who initiated. You know, he never initiated, but he was always going to finish. And then you talk about this situation to go and lose your life. The week before we played Tampa Bay, and me, Sean, and Santana had a conversation in the locker room. And my son was born on 11/20, and Sean, you know, this was like the 23rd or 24th. And Sean came to me upset because I didn't tell him that my son was born, that he heard it from Larry in the locker room. And, you know, we were kind of talking, and he was so happy. Like, CP, like, you got a son, like, you so lucky, man. Like, if I had a son, like, I love my daughter, but when I get a son, and he made me, like, look forward to being a father, because I kind of, you know, like, it was just my first child. How do I respond? Like, what do I do? And some of the inspiration, like some of the words that we shared, like the things to look forward to in cartoons and growing and having someone be like you, are the memories that I would cherish. But when you look back and you see how many people Sean affected, it was suburban, the hood, anywhere, every community, every household will say, you know what, my kids are influenced by Sean Taylor. You look at so many of the guys that play today, they're influenced by Sean Taylor. Or they have, you know, I think of Landon Collins and DJ Swearinger and now Clinton Dix. Like, these guys is playing at such a high level that shows so much respect to him.
I did a feature on him last year. 10 years it was 10 years last year, and so kind of did an anniversary style piece where I asked, including you, Clinton, but I asked a lot of people what their favorite Sean Taylor stories, and there were a lot of, you know, really unique ones that were really cool to listen to. But I do think there was one, you know, a lot of people go back to that Pro Bowl hit that he had on Brian Moorman, the punter, and that's just like an iconic Sean Taylor video clip because it highlights everything about his physicality and his toughness and his competitiveness, even in a Pro Bowl game that didn't matter. And Brian Moorman told me that he has his jersey framed from that game, and it's framed frontwards because he's still got the hole and the gold flecks from the face mask in his chest. He normally put it backwards, but because he still saw the hole in the face mask flex, that he wanted to put it frontward. It's the only one that's facing frontwards in his house.
That's hilarious.
So it's pretty cool.
Speaking of memories, I think it's so many good memories for myself. I could go on and on about Sean, but we played, and me, Sean, and Andre Johnson were in college together. And we were standing on the field before we played the Texans in a preseason game, and I wasn't playing, but me, Sean, and Dre was standing on the field talking, and Sean was like, yeah, Dre, how's your mom doing? And like, how's the family? And, you know, we were having a good conversation about Miami. You know, everyone shook hands. The Texans were known for running a drag route with Dre. That was like his staple, his bread and butter. And I'm looking, it was like third down, and here comes this drag route. And I'm standing on the sideline, and I just so happen to be standing at the first down marker. And when I see where the ball is going, the first thing I think of is, where is Sean? And I see Dre coming across the field, and the quarterback looks at Dre. The ball is coming to Andre Johnson. So my eyes are like, where is Sean? So I go find Sean, and Sean is already in his break, coming full speed. This is a preseason game. He's coming full speed downhill, and he has Dre beeline, and I'm looking like, is he gonna hit him? And he running full speed, and I'm thinking like, Dre about to get killed. And this ball goes low. Dre dive for the ball, and it happens out of bounds. Dre dives for the ball goes low, and Sean comes over Dre's head, like his entire body skims across Dre's head. And when they land on the sideline, when everyone land, they knocked over the first down marker, and I'm standing here looking like, I'm just in shock that Sean tried to hit Dre, and Dre look up at me. This is in game. He said, "CP, what's wrong with that boy?" And I just bust out laughing. I say, "Man, he crazy." And I have so many of those memories because once Sean got on the field, it was all go.
Well, I talked to Andre last year about this, and I think he referenced something, and he was like, I went back to the huddle and so the guys were like, I thought y'all were friends.
Yeah, I thought y'all was friends. I thought y'all played together. But that was just Sean. And I mean, it's a great time this could go on. But right now, Jake, it's time for you to pay the bill.
Helping people improve their lives is what should drive business. That's the belief at Coke Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Coke works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com.
Welcome back to 26 Minutes. Right now, we got two subjects that went on throughout the week that were big news. The first one, Baker Mayfield and Damian Woody exchange of words. Mayfield basically called out Hugh Jackson for switching teams. Woody come to Hugh Jackson's defense, say, "Hey, kid, it's the NFL, and coaches get fired, players switch teams, go to the opposing rival." And he called out Baker Mayfield saying, "You switched from Texas Tech to Oklahoma. And that's the same thing. And Baker Mayfield responds,
Baker Mayfield responded, all his fan club responded, and then my favorite addition was Ryan Clark jumping in at the end. And Ryan Clark was basically like, "Baker, you don't want the smoke." And he validated the point that Woody was making in terms of, you gotta grow up. This is a business, this is nothing personal, let it go. Now, what Baker has been able to do with Cleveland has been fun to watch. He's having a blast. My homegirl Angel Gray interviewed him at the Cleveland Cavaliers game. But yeah, this wasn't like, "Oh, I don't like you anymore, I'm gonna go play with another team in the division."
I always struggle with whether an athlete is doing things that's making the league fun and interesting, and these kind of controversies happen a lot in the NBA. Should they come to the NFL, and maybe that helps the brand a little bit, and not in the sense that this is a good look, but this is something that people are talking about that's not necessarily just about X's and O's. And so I don't know. Sometimes I think it's great. We have a personality. We have a quarterback. We have somebody that's taken the league by storm in a way. But then others, I'm like, can you just stop? You're a young quarterback. Let's worry about your team
winning
here
winning
and bringing Cleveland a little bit back to relevancy.
Well, I feel you on that, but I think Damian is the one that sort of sparked it more. No,
I don't. I agree with Jake. Speaking of won't smoke, you said, as Ryan Clark said, "Baker, you don't want any smoke." Tom Coughlin basically said the same thing. "Don't question my decisions." The Jacksonville Jaguars fired their offensive coordinator and benched their starting quarterback. And Coughlin responds by saying, "Hey, I'll put on the gloves with anyone that wants to question my decision."
The top of that quote, though, was he is pointing out how close they were, right? He's like, "We were a whistle away. Come on, you know what I'm saying? We were in the Super Bowl. We were a whistle away. That's his position." And then he's like, like you said, do your own thing. Fill the pieces however you think you need to fill them out on your football team, but you can catch these hands as far as I'm concerned.
It'd be pretty funny to see Tom Coughlin wear boxing gloves.
But I think that's cool, though, and I think the climate that we're in terms of sports consumers, you can hit people on Twitter and Instagram, so I'm sure he's getting plenty of comments, whether people agree or disagree, as did Baker's fan come to the rescue and when it came to Damian, but you got to stand your ground. Well, he could totally ignore it, but I don't mind this quote. It's a fun quote.
Yeah.
When you look at social media, even for Baker Mayfield or for the fans that respond, these are people that you'll never cross paths with. These are people that you'll never see that basically just sit and, they're fans of someone or they just basically wait for something to happen to chime in on. You'll never hear it. As Kelly say all the time when she gives the name of these people, I have no clue who this person could possibly be. It's 1 in a billion people. I'll never see you. You can say whatever you want. It's gotten like cyberbullying, and these people are going to stay on top of, they're going to just stay at you constantly. So for Coughlin, though, I've seen Coughlin run the drills in Combine, and he's actually a feisty person. So I would like to see him with those gloves on.
We should totally steal the Jimmy Kimmel bit at night, and like when we go to the Super Bowl, we should put you in a box and have people like say things that they wouldn't say if they didn't know you were standing there, and see how that goes.
Yeah, let's do it if we get to go to the Super Bowl.
What do you think of Clinton Portis?
Now that we know we're going to the Super Bowl,
Speaking it into
in the
existence.
front office, do you all hear that? Super Bowl,
Speaking it into
we want to take this
existence.
show on the road. But right now it's time for Best Thing We Saw. What was yours this week, Mom?
Okay, my best thing I saw this week has to go to Kent State. They have a recruit. His name is Kalen Bennett. He will become the first player with autism to get a Division I basketball scholarship. And I just think that this is tremendous. My best friend's nephew is autistic. I've had an opportunity to work with some autistic youth, and I think we have to address the stigma that surrounds some of these conditions, because these kids are very capable, as Kalen is demonstrating. Now, granted, there is a spectrum, but I think dealing with people with compassion, understanding, and really working, you'd be surprised. Like, labels shouldn't stop you from being able to pursue your dreams. So I encourage folks to check that one out. SB Nation put it out first.
Monte Nicholson also, for his My Cause, My Cleats, doing autism awareness.
Nice,
National
that's a
Down
good
Syndrome.
one.
Yeah. I feel like I should just make this segment my movie hour or my movie minute.
Culture, movie, travel.
Your
'Cause-
Netflix and chill.
Well, but I go to the theater a lot. So
You
that's
do
what-
go to the theater a lot.
I did see. So on the way to Dallas, I watched the documentary Whitney about Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that.
Oh.
It's kind of a devastating portrait of her life and near the end.
This is
obviously,
a
but
documentary, though. This wasn't like the movie that her family was like mad about.
I think it might be the same thing.
Oh, is
I'm
it?
not sure.
Okay, we gotta
I
look
know.
that up.
I know. Recently, Bobby Brown came out and said he's suing Showtime and BBC Films because he's featured in this documentary.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what he's suing about because he was on camera telling stuff. So I'm not really sure how much he's really going to win at. But it was really kind of a full comprehension of like what her life and how it changed and was affected by drugs and at the end of her life. But really incredible. And her music is obviously
I'm sure that was
featured
compelling.
heavily. Did see Creed 2. Not as
Don't tell me yet.
Not as great.
Yeah,
No.
we're not going to listen to your reviews.
Not as
No,
great.
we're not going to listen to
A lot
your
of people have
reviews.
said that it's the same, but I love the first one, so I'll watch the second one. Whatever. I haven't seen it yet.
still enjoy
Why
myself.
is it like, and we got to speed up. Why is it that, like, when you watch a movie, like, as you said, well, it's kind of the same as Creed 1, but you could go and watch Martin, and you can watch a sitcom that you've seen 1,000 times, and you watch the episode knowing what's about to happen, but you're watching like you don't know, and you still laugh hysterically once it happened, and you already knew what was coming, compared to now when you see something new, it's like, well, it's sort of like the first one.
Because expectations. Because expectations.
Your expectations in watching Martin when you watch the same
But
show.
you expect to laugh again. You know exactly what's going to happen.
All right. Well, the best thing I saw this week was my mom for Thanksgiving. My mom made the trip up. I got an opportunity to spend time with the fam. It was awesome. Having my mom normally on Thanksgiving, especially as a player, you're away from your family. You're at work, you don't really get that feel. So being able to wake up to mom's cooking, to smell it in the house, it was just like, wow, like my mom is actually here for Thanksgiving. Having an opportunity, because you really don't want to accept that your parents are getting older.
Oh my gosh, this is the worst feeling. Yeah, go ahead.
like you don't want to accept that. So these moments become really precious. Even to see my mom, just mobility-wise, going up and down stairs where she's starting to complain about going downstairs and you got to stick around to help. Like, you actually feel good. It reminds me of my grandmother and just to watch your mom turn into your grandmother, like having that opportunity, it was kind of like sit back and just appreciate the moment, appreciate the time. So,
Time out. Did your mom make sweet potato cake? Or what did your mom make? Red velvet?
Man, my mom made banana pudding.
I want everybody to see that you didn't bring anything.
Yeah, it's way removed.
We've talked about your mom's cooking on this show since like episode 3.
Yeah, but okay, I'll get
Dessert?
I'll get some
like
food.
I ain't say
Yeah, but
Thanksgiving dinner,
desserts,
but
like,
dessert.
we're not big. When she send the red velvet, I'll definitely bring the
All
red
right.
velvet. When she bring the red velvet, so I ended up leaving the banana pudding. That's what you all really wanted.
That's what you need. I didn't bring you.
But yeah, I'll get it. Don't worry. Before this season is over, I'm gonna make sure. Whether it's mom having to come cook for specifically this show, we're gonna get it
Ooh,
done.
that would be
segment.
fun. Yes.
Jake, take it away.
Guys, let me tell you a little bit about our friends at your local DC area Meineke Car Care Centers. It's a great place to get everything you need done to keep your car on the road. It's so important to maintain your car, and there are 19 Meineke Car Care locations in the greater Washington, D.C. area to help you do so. Don't let car trouble slow you down this holiday season. Sign up for Meineke Rewards to receive free towing to your nearest Meineke location, where their team of total car care experts can get your car back on the road. Save time by booking online at Meineke.com. Meineke, on with life. And everybody's playing to get to the big game. It's the ultimate goal, the game of games, the hottest ticket in town. It's the Virginia Lotteries Win a Spin live show. 8 lucky winners of the Win a Spin Scratcher will get the chance to spin the big prize wheel to win a guaranteed $100,000 to $500,000, and they'll get to do it live at Virginia Lottery headquarters. So if you want to get to the big game, the Big Wheel live show, here's what you have to do. Scratch the Win a Spin Scratcher to find a spin code that you'll enter online. If your online code reveals a Big Wheel message, you've made it. You're going to the lottery headquarters to spin the big wheel in front of a live audience on Facebook. And you're spinning to win a guaranteed prize of $100,000 to $500,000. If you want the glory, you've got to get off the bench, so get your touchdown dance ready and visit your local lottery retailer and ask for the Win a Spin Scratcher today. Top prize odds in Win a Spin are, hasn't changed, 1 in 918,000.
Time for Q&A with Clinton. Next question.
Next question.
Next question.
Next question.
That's the way it is.
Next question.
Next question.
It's a legitimate question.
Next question.
Next question.
Always the funnest time of the show when Jake leaves and I get the opportunity to sit with these two ladies by myself. I'm kind of selfish. Let's welcome Kelly. It's time for Ask CP. Welcome, Kelly. And
Thank you.
she's dressed the same way the Eagles are going to be dressed on Monday night, in all black with gray. Good job,
I thought I'd
Kelly.
be safe with the black.
How? You know the Eagles
I
were
don't
all
know.
black at home in a night game.
It's like tradition now. I feel like
I think it's a thing.
Only thing she needed is
thing
your
now.
green scarf, and hey, I'll tackle
gosh.
her.
Listen, you look good, Kelly. I love
Thank
your boots.
you.
We did a boomerang with our boots.
Yeah, we
It's
did.
super cute.
Yeah, y'all.
They're knee highs.
Yeah, I mean,
It's cold outside. Say
You're
it's
on
cold
fashionista.
outside.
It is cold.
Oh, okay.
And as we're talking about cold, I just seen the players running from this site to the bubble, and everyone is sprinting down, trying to hurry up and get into the bubble. We got Antwaan Randle coming on for overtime. He's over there with his teeth chattering, sitting by the
freezing.
window. Only thing I can tell him is Randle, go in the bathroom, close the door. We'll let you know when we
That's
need
the
you,
first
man.
space heater too.
Yeah, he did a space heater. This is not that type of show, okay? Everyone deal with the elements the way they deal with them. Bring a jacket next time.
All right, Ask CP.
Okay. First question by Icy_Brandon.
I think that's the simplest name you've
Right?
gotten.
That was
Go
the
ahead.
easiest one
Icy_Brandon.
today. All right. How do you see Colt McCoy doing the rest of the season?
I actually think Colt for this offense. Now, he's going to put this offense and give this offense an opportunity to score points. Colt is kind of like a gunslinger. He's going to take chances that Alex wouldn't take. I think he understands this offense, and given the reps, given the situation, once he get familiar with game speed, I actually think he's going to be fine. It's the defense. If the defense can go out and play the way that they were playing earlier in the season, when knowing that Alex Smith was going to be careful and safe with the ball, that we can win those games. You know, if Colt can go out and have 1 or 2 turnovers instead of 3, because you're still in that game. You know, the third interception buries you, but if he can go out and you take those shots once you cross the 50, where, hey, I'm going to take a shot right here, it's going to flip the field position regardless, and our defense is not going to give up 70 and 80-yard drives week in, week out. I actually think you got a shot.
JC Beal 11 asks, who is your favorite player currently on the team? So we get this question a lot, and last week you said your MVP was AP on offense and Ioannidis and Swearinger on defense. So who would you say this week going into Monday?
Well, you said my favorite player on the team. Last week I think we just asked about the MVP candidates,
Yeah.
you know, like who would be the MVP at that point. So if I had to choose one player on this team to say was my favorite, it would definitely be DJ Swearinger. At this point, I think in 2 years, what he's come and brought to this locker room, how he's changed this team, and players are starting to adapt to his mentality. Like, they're not there. You don't just go from all of a sudden being mediocre to being great overnight, but you could tell players are starting to buy in. And the next player would be Zach Brown downhill. Zach Brown downhill is a beast. Now, why we put him in all these other situations that, you know, he have limitations in coverage and you're putting him in a guessing game situation. I think that's coaching. If this man is dominant doing one thing, that's what he's going to do. If AI got a crossover, I'm not telling AI, you know what, don't use that crossover. I want to see you do something else. Use the crossover, get to the hoop, play the game the way you play it. I think that's what this coaching staff needs to do for Zach Brown. So just those two players who are tough, hard-nosed players both kind of symbolize the same effort on the field. Their mindset is tough, go out and be dominant, dominate a game, punish the defender. Like, that's the way football is supposed to be played. Hard-nosed, without all this thinking, like, I'm out here to have fun, and I think that's the way they play the game.
All right, moving on. So we usually get questions about Sean Taylor, and you guys already touched on him already. But what are some of your other favorite moments with him, or what's the most impressive thing you saw him do on the field, besides the story you told earlier?
Well, on the field, the most impressive thing I ever seen Sean do on the field was against Green Bay. Brett Favre, we're playing Brett Favre, who was known to sling the ball, and Sean covered. We played single high safety, and Sean basically covered the entire field. I think he could have had 5 or 6 interceptions that game. He might have came away with 3. Playing sideline to sideline. He was doing, like, starting on the right hash, picking the ball off on the left sideline, which was amazing. And I think he was just coming into one with himself. Like, his range was unbelievable, and it was him.
That's not common to have that many interceptions in a game.
Yeah, and again, he dropped 2 or 3 of them. Like, he was in the midst of, do I pick this off or do I knock him out? So it was kind of like a collision instead of the interception, where he could have got the interception. So you're talking about picking Brett Favre off, a Hall of Fame quarterback, 5 times in one game.
Dang.
That's saying something.
That is definitely
he left
something.
an impression.
I kind of want to go back to something you said about Sean Taylor when we were having the conversation, when we opened the podcast. You talked about him being misunderstood. And obviously, those that loved him, the legacy is cemented, bar none, right? But as an athlete, is there a responsibility to be understood?
There's not. And this is the thing I always say, like, growing up with Sean, for both of us to be young kids, like, for both of us to have the same background, like, to understand an individual, to know people hated Sean. Like, people actually hated Sean. If all the love that he gets now that he's gone, it's of course it's great, but where was this love when the man was alive, when you needed the support? And that's why I think, as the individual that I am, like, knowing that, you see how everyone cries and everyone, which you're entitled to, like, it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing with becoming a fan later in life when you say, you know what, I'll probably never see this type of player or individual again, and you realize what you're missing. 11 years give you that opportunity. But when you had this opportunity to say, you know what, this is my guy, like, I love this man, I love the way he played. People throw roses or give you roses when you can't smell them.
Right.
Give me my roses while I can smell them. Show that same appreciation while I'm here. That was my only issue. If you look at the immediate response after Sean's passing or after Sean's death, it was kind of bittersweet for me, because you see all of these people who are like, oh, I love Sean, and Sean was this and Sean was that. But you like, when we was in the trenches, when we needed this support, when Sean was in court, where you weren't sitting outside, you weren't in the courtroom, when Sean was going through whatever it was, you weren't backing him then, but all of a sudden everyone comes to his defense and you feel sorry, which, it was tragic. You want to feel sorry, like, oh, well, this guy was just trying to protect his family. This guy has been protecting himself from day one, but that was a problem because you didn't understand what he was doing until the aftermath.
Well, that's all we have for #AskCP.
And that's all we have for 26 minutes. You can catch us in overtime with Antwaan Randle, or you can just join us next week for episode 15, which should be a smash. I'm sure there's going to be something that happened this week, like us beating the Eagles, that we're going to be excited to talk about. So catch us episode 15 for the crew of 26 minutes. Peace out.
Hail to the Redskins this year with gear from the official Redskins team store. From Nike player and personalized jerseys to a great selection of new era hats, the Redskins team store has you covered. Plus, we have an amazing variety of youth and ladies apparel and everything you need to throw the perfect tailgate party. And we have signs, flags, and collectibles for the perfect Redskins man cave. So hail to the Redskins in style at any of our 4 Redskins team stores or online anytime at redskins-teamstore.com.
John Riggins here with a little tip. If you need a mortgage, take my advice and use the pros at McLean Mortgage. Buying a home can be stressful and filled with hassles. The experts at McLean Mortgage understand what an important financial investment your home is and will seamlessly guide you through the process to successful home ownership. Smooth, amazing, easy, professional, and first rate are just some of the reviews from their tens of thousands of homeowners, including me. I trust McLean Mortgage, and I hope you will too. Check them out at McLeanMortgage.com.
This is Rick Goslin with the Talk of Fame Network. This NFL season, FanDuel has more ways to win than ever before. New Beat the Score contests pay out everyone who hits a certain score. Now it's easy to find your friends and challenge them to play head-to-head fantasy contests for cash or bragging rights. New players, try FanDuel today and get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Rick.
New users only. Bonus not available for withdrawal. State and age restrictions apply. For eligibility rules, terms, and conditions, go to FanDuel.com.
Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
Welcome to Overtime, where we're joined by Antwaan Randle. We gotta shape up this NFL. You know, you get to week 12 of the season, and it's a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Gibb just always give us scenarios.
Have it on the board.
How you get in, how you get out, what needs to happen. But we're gonna simplify it for the fans. 4 teams in the NFC. Give me the 4 teams you would watch in the NFC East, and who would end up in the divisional game to the Super Bowl.
Well, if we look at the NFC East, I think it's tough. Obviously, Redskins still the top of the division, or tied right now at this point. So the first thing is going to be interesting to see how it plays out these next 6 games they have, or 5 games that they have, with the Redskins having 3 out of the 5 opponents being divisional games. So I feel like they have an opportunity to get to the top. But it's going to come down to all 3 phases really playing extremely well. You can't miss field goals. If you get a chance to tackle the catch on defense, you got to be able to tackle the catch, and you get a chance to get off the field on 3rd down. You got to do that. And in offense, late in the season, you need to score more points.
But that's you looking at the Redskins. I'm going
through
in the NFC. When you look at the Redskins got a road to climb. Whether it's the New Orleans Saints, whether it's the LA Rams,
you said
whether
East.
it's the Chicago.
You said East.
No, I said the NFC.
Oh, I thought you said East. I was going to focus on the East.
We're not limited this to the East.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the NFC picture.
So if I'm looking at it, I got St. Louis top of their game. I think
LA.
LA. I'm still doing it. LA's at the top of their game. Not just from a standpoint of offense, but they can get it done sometimes defensively, especially up front. If the two-headed monster really get going, you got to leave some guys in to block them. So I think I'm going to put St. Louis right at the top. New Orleans.
LA, I just corrected you.
You did. LA, it's so embedded in my mind. LA right at the top, just because of what they bring to the table offensively and defensively. And they do got some mixture going on in special teams. I think they took a hit with losing Cooper Kupp. That was a big deal, but they're still able to go out and produce points anyhow. So, and then New Orleans being able to follow up from that standpoint. And offensively, I think Drew Brees is right now over 70% passing. He's on fire, but their defense still gives a lot of points. It's always been their Achilles heel, and trying to see exactly where they're going to shape up. But again, offense always picks up the ball from that point. And then I always kind of look at then we can start talking about the East in terms of the 4 divisions. So I don't know how it's going to shake up in the East. Redskins got an opportunity. But again, with playing against 3 out of 4 opponents finishing up, I think they I think they're going to struggle really going into that. So I don't know who's going to come out of that conference. Who am I missing? Got West.
So L don't want to give you the real. Now I'm going to give you this.
What you talking about?
I'm going to give you this quick scenario. When I look at this, you said the Rams. I think the Rams give up a lot of points defensively. Not having Talib hurts that defense. When you look at the kid they signed from Kansas City, who's been up and down in that secondary, I think that's the edge I give the Saints over the Rams. When you look at the Saints, when you can tell your team, if we can go out and get 2 stops this game, we're going to win. That's all you need.
That's the same thing for L.A. or St. Louis. No, L.A. Same thing for L.A. They put no points.
As a defensive mindset, you tell your team, we got to go out and get 2 stops and we win this game because Drew Brees is on fire. When you look at the Rams can be stopped. They can be stopped. I think Sean McVay does a great job at getting players
Drew Brees
in position.
and the Saints scored 50 points this year?
Yes.
When?
They done scored 50 points
in one game.
Times. Yeah, but I still give Sean Payton the edge over Sean McVay, and I love Sean McVay as a head coach.
I get it.
The next thing is those are the 2 people. That's 1 and 2. However you shake it up, that's 1 and 2.
No question.
But 3, you got to go to Chicago. To get to any of those places, you got to go through Chicago. And with this defense that Chicago has, I don't see anyone going into Soldier Field.
When you say go through Chicago, you mean in terms of what, they got to play them at some point?
Yeah. Get to L.A. or New Orleans.
Well, if they're going to be on top, so Chicago's going to be 3.
My point exactly. So anyone who could pass or potentially threaten got to go to Chicago, and then you got to go to New Orleans or L.A.
Right.
That's going to be a tough road.
So that's what I was trying to cut head in terms of getting those top 4. So Chicago will be the next one, and the thing about them is that they can get out after you defensively better than the other 2 teams can. The other part is that they're not going to score as much.
They can score.
They're not going to score with ease as the other 2 teams.
I actually think the Bears have more weapons. When you look at Allen Robinson, when you look at Cohen, when you look at Trubisky being able to move and run with his feet, you look at that receiving core, the Bears offer a lot. They're under the radar offensively, but Nagy does such a great job with them on offense. That defense get after you, they're a tough team.
That's my point. I think the Bears will get more possessions for their offense than the other teams do because they're stopping you 3 and out just about every time. And if you are getting the first down, you're not getting in the red zone, you're not chewing up a lot of clock because they're getting after you defensively. So I think if we look at those top 4, again, 3 we talked about, really haven't gave a 4 yet because we really don't know what it's going to turn out to be. But at the end of the day, those 2 top teams, if your defense don't show up, you're going to be in trouble. The offense is going to carry them.
All right.
So I get that. I really understand that.
Let's get to the AFC. Give me your because the AFC is totally different. In the NFC, it's those 3 teams. In the AFC, you have
I got Kansas City at number 1, and then who else we got? Kansas City is that's West, right?
It don't matter where they
always try to go off the 4.
So that's West.
I was trying to cut off the head and go 4.
So of course you got the North, South.
Yeah, so who's in the North?
Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Pittsburgh coming out of there. I have no.
So
no
Kansas City, Pittsburgh.
Kansas City, Pittsburgh. It's coming out of there. Who's in the South? Jacksonville, Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You got New England's gonna come out of the East. No question. I think they're second right now.
And then you got the Colts for the South. Or you got the Texans for the South.
I'm gonna have to go with the Texans.
Okay, so
I'm gonna have to go with the Texans, but those are my 4.
Those are the 4 teams, and out of those 4 teams, anybody can beat anybody.
Out of those 4 teams,
because you can't put New England.
I don't think anybody can beat anybody. I do think whoever plays Kansas City is gonna they got a full plate.
Well, for one, we left out the Chargers, who's probably third in the West right now.
The
because
Chargers tank every time. These last. Listen, the Chargers always, it's either the beginning of the season they play well and tank, or they pick it up at the end of the season.
Not since they moved to LA. Not since they moved
change
to
the scenery
LA.
gives them a different agenda. I hear you. I just feel like they always tank. I'm always pulling for them, and there's always something because I be wanting them to win, and they just fall apart at some point.
So do Kansas City have what it takes to beat New England?
I think Kansas City have what I think they should have, because that's the two losses they have, right? New England and St. Louis, right? I think those are St. Louis, LA Rams again. I'm doing it again. I think those are two losses that they have, and they're right on the edge of beating New England.
So what about Pittsburgh playing New England?
I think Pittsburgh can get them, no question. Again, it comes back to this idea of doubling. If I'm a coordinator, it comes back to this idea of doubling down, if you will, and not really focusing on the run with James White, one of them.
James Conner?
No. I'm talking about
New England.
New England's running game.
Okay.
The running back White, in terms of you got to really put your focus on that
hitting
pass.
Drew Brees.
Huh?
I mean, you got to put your focus on hitting Tom Brady.
Yeah, on hitting Tom Brady, but they don't have like outstanding receivers. The issue is you got to disrupt Tom some type of way, blitz him, tackle to catch. That's got to be the idea, and I think they'll be able to do it now with some of the pass rush and blitzes that they've always done, but now being able to cover and tackle to catch, which they hadn't been able to do in the last couple of years.
So fast, the Texans as a sleeper team.
Texans can be the sleeper. I can't give it to the Chargers. I can't. They just.
But the Texans can beat any of those teams. Kansas City can beat any of those teams. So the AFC is basically wide open.
I don't think a sleeper. I don't think the Chiefs. I don't think the Texans can beat the Chiefs. I just don't. They're in the. I don't see it. I just don't see them beating. They ain't got enough. That offense not gonna score enough points.
When he come back, we'll have a clear picture. That's overtime for this week. Thanks to Randle for coming on. Catch us next week.
Hey, it's Jake Kringschreifels with the Redskins 365 update. Second practice of the week on Wednesday thanks to the extended weekend following Thanksgiving. Chris Thompson still in pads and practicing, an encouraging sign for his availability on Monday. You can also watch press conferences from Colt McCoy and Jay Gruden today as the team prepares for the Eagles. Remember, that's a Monday Night Football game, 8:15 on ESPN. Redskins.com Live will preview the game at 7:30.